You are about to see images that should not exist. Captured by the James Webb Space Telescope, these structures defy all known laws of physics. These are no ordinary galaxies, nor are they stellar explosions. What you're about to see looks like planned, symmetrical, intentional. These formations are so precise and organized that many are beginning to raise a new question. Is this really natural? These records are causing discomfort even among the greatest scientists on the planet. Some claim that it could be a new type of phenomenon. Others are beginning to accept a hypothesis that seemed impossible, signs of non-human technology. Imagine looking up at the sky and finding something that contradicts everything we have learned about the universe. Something that cannot be explained, something that appears to have been constructed. Now think with me, if science is wrong, what else could be hidden behind it? We call reality. Comment below, do you think this evidence is natural, or is something else going on out there? Stay until the end, because these images not only defy science, they defy logic. Since its launch, the James Webb Space Telescope has transformed the way we look at the universe. It is not just another observation instrument. It is now the most advanced resource ever created by humanity to investigate deep space. And its importance lies not only in the sharpness of its images. What really sets it apart is its ability to see what no other telescope has been able to, the past of the universe. While Hubble was limited to visible and ultraviolet light, James Webb works with infrared, a band of light that passes through clouds of cosmic dust, revealing what was previously hidden. With this, he can observe galaxies that emerged just a few million years after the Big Bang, an interval so ancient that, on a cosmic scale, it approaches the beginning of everything. He sees the infancy of the universe as if leafing through the first chapters of a forgotten book. Webb's sensitivity is so great that it can capture minute variations in the temperature and composition of atmospheres on exoplanets tens of light years away. This means that for the first time, we can not only see planets outside the solar system, but also detect what's inside them. Gases, chemical elements, and in some cases, patterns that suggest unusual activity. To give you an idea, Webb's main mirror is 6.5 meters in diameter, more than twice the size of Hubble, and works in conjunction with a cooling system that keeps it at 223 degrees Celsius. This prevents any thermal interference in the observations and allows for virtually unprecedented precision. It's as if we were using a microscope to examine the entire universe. But what makes this revolution even more impactful is that James Webb isn't just revealing new images. He's challenging old certainties. Some of the galaxies he observes seem too organized, too big, too old, as if something was outside of what was predicted by traditional scientific models. What if these anomalies are not flaws in the calculations, but signs of something bigger that we still can't understand? A planet located approximately 65 light-years from Earth has been intriguing astrophysicists due to its unusual behavior. Named ASPB, this exoplanet orbits a sun-like star, but what sets it apart is not its orbit, nor its basic composition. It's the way it interacts with light. While most planets reflect some of the light they receive, ASP returns light in a highly intense and targeted pattern, as if it was surrounded by a perfectly polished reflective layer. James Webb's brightness measurement showed an unusually high peak of reflectance, something that is difficult to explain based on known geological or atmospheric formations. The optical behavior of the planet suggests the existence of highly organized surfaces with albedo levels similar to those of synthetic materials. To put it simply, it reflects light too much, and in an organized manner, almost as if it were coated in mirror panels. The spectroscopic data also indicate the absence of certain particles common in dense atmospheres, which raises the possibility that this glow is not coming from clouds, but from a solid and unusual surface. One hypothesis put forward by scientists is the presence of crystals or exotic mineral formations never seen before, but no natural model tested so far has been able to replicate ASP-B's brightness pattern accurately. The reflection varies at regular intervals, as if parts of the surface were adjusted or controlled by some mechanism. This behavior raises a question that, although uncomfortable, needs to be considered. What if we are not facing a passive planet, but an active system? But what if this is not a natural phenomenon? There is a line between what we call an anomaly and what we prefer not to investigate further, and perhaps ASP-B is right on that line. Now think with me. If a planet reflects light like a mirror, in patterns that suggest control, what do you think is really going on there? Do you believe that ASP-B could just be a rare geological anomaly, or is there something more behind this behavior? Comment below. Which theory makes more sense to you? An unknown natural phenomenon or an artificial structure that we have not yet been able to decipher? There are records in the universe that confound even the most well-established standards of science, and among them, there is a type of formation that goes beyond shiny surfaces or unusual atmospheres, a structure so perfect that it shouldn't exist. There is something profoundly strange about certain patterns that James Webb has begun to reveal. The universe, which we have always believed to be chaotic on a large scale, is showing levels of organization that do not fit statistical expectations. It's not just about galaxies clustered together by gravity or movements explainable by current physics. It's about broad, coherent, and incredibly precise symmetries at distances involving millions of light years. One such structure observed in a sequence of galaxies in the Abell 2744 cluster is organized in a manner almost identical to Fibonacci spiral, a mathematical proportion that repeats itself in biological systems and natural patterns such as shells and hurricanes. But here it appears on a cosmic scale, connecting galaxies that theoretically should never be connected. Another case involves a formation that, when mapped three-dimensionally, approximates a hexagonal lattice, like a beehive, only with billions of stars at each vertex. The most conservative hypothesis is that this configuration is a rare but natural statistical product. However, the occurrence of these symmetries in different regions of the observable universe is challenging this argument. Some physicists have begun to draw parallels between these structures and the fragile patterns of fractals, self-replicating mathematical forms that suggest a structural repetition at different scales. It is as if the universe were obeying a hidden geometric rule, repeated from the micro to the macrocosm. These observations are forcing science to consider hypotheses that were previously considered speculative. There is the possibility that we are seeing not just a distribution of matter, but a reflection of something deeper, a mathematical language that structures the very fabric of space. What if the universe wasn't just an accident of particles and forces? What if symmetry were actually the signature of an intention that science is not yet ready to identify? Enceladus is one of Saturn's moons, small, icy, seemingly harmless, but beneath its silent white crust, it hides one of the most intriguing environments in the solar system, an underground ocean, active, warm, and constantly moving. Images captured by the Cassini probe revealed something unexpected, plumes of water vapor being ejected from Enceladus's south pole, like cosmic geysers. This constant activity suggests that beneath the thick layer of ice, there is a deep ocean, kept liquid by a combination of gravitational forces that generate internal heat. The presence of organic molecules, salts, and even hydrogen compounds in the released plumes indicates more than just water. There may be sources of chemical energy sufficient to sustain microbial life. Now imagine the opposite. A distant observer surveying Earth, seeing clouds, weather, tectonic activity, perhaps even artificial lights. Even if he couldn't directly see life on our surface, he would still have clear clues that something is happening down here. This is what Enceladus represents to us. A planet hidden beneath the ice, but possibly pulsating inside. And the most provocative thing is that all of this is happening within our own solar system, just a few billion kilometers away. If these conditions can exist here, how many other similar bodies are there out there? How many other moons, planets, or frozen structures are emitting signals that we are ignoring simply because we don't know what to look for? Enceladus is more than an icy moon. It is an inverted mirror of the Earth, a reminder that life can arise in conditions previously thought impossible, and that perhaps by focusing only on planets like ours, we are missing the most important signals. If there is an ocean boiling beneath the ice, what else is hidden out there? The most disconcerting thing is realizing that we are surrounded by clues, but most people don't even know what to look for. While many still hope to find life on Earth-like planets, the universe may be showing us another way, with signals scattered beneath the ice, in magnetic fields, in the most unlikely molecules. And precisely for that reason, every like you leave on this video shows that there are more people willing to see beyond the obvious. It doesn't just serve as a button. It's a way to make this type of content continue to appear for those who, like you, know that the universe is not as simple as it seems. You are helping to keep alive a conversation that few have the courage to continue, and that the algorithm will only deliver to those who show real interest. Your like is part of that. But not everything that seems impossible needs to be so far away. There are recent records of organic elements in extremely old galaxies. And this raises a disturbing new question. Did life already exist before Earth itself? A recent discovery made by the James Webb Telescope is shaking up the foundations of astrobiology. Organic molecules, the fundamental building blocks of life as we know it, have been identified. In galaxies so old that they formed in the first billion years after the Big Bang. This means that the ingredients of life were present in the universe even before the formation of the solar system. These compounds, such as hydrocarbons and polycyclic aromatic molecules, arose in regions where chemical complexity shouldn't exist so soon. Until recently, it was believed that organic molecules took considerable time to form, after generations of stars, supernova explosions, and complex chemical cycles. But these newly observed galaxies break that timeline. Here on Earth, the origin of life is still one of the greatest scientific enigmas. It is known that around 3.8 billion years ago, simple molecules began to combine in extreme environments, such as underwater hydrothermal vents. From there, structures capable of storing information, reacting and replicating themselves emerged. The beginning of biology. But if the same components were available at other points in the cosmos billions of years before that, the hypothesis that life is a rare and isolated phenomenon loses strength. We are faced with a possibility that is increasingly considered by scientists. Life did not originate here. It may have just continued here. This line of reasoning leads to a question that is as fascinating as it is disconcerting. What if life is a natural consequence of the existence of matter? What if, instead of an improbable accident, life is an inevitable response, the next step whenever there is enough time, carbon, and energy? If that's the case, the universe is full of possibilities. Some of them may have already evolved far beyond what we imagine. In 2023, the James Webb Telescope detected a supermassive black hole at the center of a primitive galaxy located more than 13 billion light-years from Earth. That would be impressive in itself, but what really caught the attention of the scientific community was the size of this black hole relative to its age. According to current models, a black hole of this size would take billions of years to grow, even feeding on large amounts of matter. But this was found when the universe was only 500 million years old, an extremely short period for this type of training. The math just doesn't add up. It's like finding a huge skyscraper in the middle of a newly built village, something that requires time, complex processes, layers of development, but that somehow it's ready, much earlier than expected. There are attempts at an explanation. Some propose that this black hole formed from the direct collapse of a gigantic gas cloud, without going through the traditional process of stellar evolution. Others believe that we are underestimating the speed at which these objects can grow under extreme conditions, but even these hypotheses still leave gaps. The question remains, how could something so massive exist so soon? The structure of the young universe should not have room for this type of object. The presence of a black hole of this size at that moment in cosmic history not only defies time, it defies the very foundations of galactic formation. What if this black hole hadn't grown, but had always been there? Maybe he's a remnant of something even older, something that came before the universe we know. If a black hole of this size already existed when the universe had barely begun, what else could have come along? First of all, are there structures or intelligences that have survived previous cycles of existence? Or perhaps realities that have left traces, and we are only now beginning to notice them? Now I want to know from you, what mysterious hypothesis about the universe has ever crossed your mind? Comment below. It could be a theory you've never had the courage to say out loud, or something you've always thought made sense but no one else talked about. The most intriguing ideas could become future videos here on the channel, because whoever participates in this conversation helps to expand the limits of the unknown. Among the most curious observations made by the James Webb Telescope, one stands out for the discomfort it causes in the scientific community. Around the star Kepler 452, located about 1,400 light-years from Earth, a rocky planet provisionally named Kepler 452X presented unexpected behavior, levels of light reflection incompatible with any known natural surface. Measurements indicate that parts of the planet reflect light in an intense and orderly fashion, with fixed patterns and precise alternation, as if large areas were reflecting in geometric blocks. The structure of these reflections is not random. It follows an almost modular logic, with alignments that resemble organized grids or matrices. Early hypotheses pointed to the possibility of crystalline silicon surfaces or exotic minerals, substances that could, in theory, create this effect. But as the data were cross-referenced with simulations, the natural models began to fail. No purely geological explanation could reproduce the reflection pattern, with the same degree of stability and temporal repetition observed. This opened the door to a less comfortable hypothesis. What if we are looking at technology, not geology? Some astrophysicists began to consider that the signals could come from artificially organized structures, such as large-scale solar panels, objects in synchronized orbit, or even mechanically adjusted surfaces to capture or redirect energy. This possibility has sparked heated debate. Some in the community insist that without direct confirmation, any artificial explanation should be considered speculative. But others point out that science needs to investigate anomalies rigorously, even when they challenge our limits of acceptance. And in that case, perhaps the most important question is no longer, what is that? But yeah, who put that there? A few years ago, the idea that the universe had an absolute beginning, the Big Bang, seemed incontrovertible. Everything would have arisen from a singularity, a point of infinite density that exploded and gave rise to space, time, and matter. But new observations are beginning to challenge this narrative. The James Webb Telescope, examining extremely distant and ancient regions of the cosmos, has identified stellar structures that appear to be older than they should be. The radiation emitted by these objects suggests that some stars may have formed before the chronological window that the standard model allows. This does not necessarily mean that the Big Bang did not happen, but it may indicate that it wasn't the beginning of everything. This possibility lends credence to one of the oldest and most perplexing theories in cosmology, that of the cyclical universe. According to this idea, the cosmos did not arise from nothing, but rather from a previous collapse as part of an infinite sequence of expansions and contractions. Each version of the universe would leave traces, fragments, or irregularities in its successor. And it is precisely this type of trace that some physicists believe they are finding. Unusual temperature fluctuations in the cosmic microwave background patterns that don't fit perfectly with the inflationary model, or anachronistic objects that don't seem to belong in this current cycle, as if they were signs of a previous reality trying to cross the edges of time. The idea that we live in a universe with memory changes everything. This places us not at the center of an absolute beginning, but as part of a major sequence, a possible second season of a much longer cosmic story, of which we only know a snippet. And if it's true, what exactly is left of the previous universe? Maybe we are not observing the beginning of everything, but yes, the echo of something that has happened before. There are ideas that don't appear in the news or in textbooks, but that can change the way we see everything around us. This video is one of those cases. Share now with that friend who is always asking questions that no one can answer. Let's spread this discussion among those who also see the universe with curious eyes. Because those who understand the importance of this content knows that he can't keep it to himself. James Webb is showing us something much bigger than stunning images. He is making it clear that we don't know even 10% of the universe, and maybe not even 1% of the truth. With each new discovery, a certainty is dispelled, and a new doubt arises in its place. Galaxies with unexplained symmetry, black holes that appear before their time, planets that reflect like machines, and molecules of life where there should only be emptiness. If there are signs everywhere, what else are we ignoring? Science is trying to keep up, but it can't always keep up with the pace of the unknown. Therefore, exploring these mysteries is more than curiosity. It is a need to understand where we are and perhaps where we really came from. If this kind of knowledge fascinates you, then this channel is your place. Here, each video is a new question. Each theory, a path towards what has not yet been explained. Being a part of this isn't just about signing up. It is about standing among those who are not satisfied with easy answers. Activate the bell so you don't miss the next riddle, because what's coming next goes even further. Now, click on the video that appears on your screen. You've seen how the universe defies time, but what does it hide? Maybe even older than time itself. And maybe it's about to be revealed.